In this installation video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install the Deckinginabox chassis, the Deckinginabox tops onto pre-existing decking. Now, there are many forms of decking type products in the marketplace, ranging from timber to composite to PVC. Now, it may be that you just want to freshen up your old deck without the hassle of removing the whole structure, which we can do with the Deckinginabox products. Deckinginabox will pretty much cater for any pre-existing decking type product there is out there. So there are a few things to take into consideration. The timber substructure, so the subframes, are they in good condition? If there's any rotten timbers, to replace those rotten timbers. If we don't have 400mm timber centres, to add additional timbers to the subframe, and the door threshold. So if you're coming from a conservatory or a balcony, just take into consideration that you are adding additional height to the already pre-existing decking, and we want to avoid a trip hazard. So what we start with is placing the decking car chassis loosely in place over pre-existing decking. Now, if there is an overhang on your pre-existing decking, this needs to be removed. And the reason being is that once we've completed the install of the tiles with the tops in situ, we want to cover all of the pre-existing substructure. So if that's the case, we take this off, so we've got a nice flush face, and then we just simply add the chassis into position, just loosely, to have a look at how they lay on the substructure below. Now, a couple more points. Some of the pre-existing type products, they have an interlocking feature, so like a tonguing groove. Now, that can get clogged. It can create pooling on top of the decking, which you may have already experienced. And if that is the case, take a hole borer and then just randomly drill holes at various places across the pre-existing decking while the chassis are in place. Just avoid the substructure below, so we want to avoid that at all costs. Once that's done, we level, make a level, we have a look at if there's any dips. Now again, it could be that your pre-existing decking is pooling, so I can see here, but we have a small deficit on the boards below. So we need to pack it out. Now we can take simple things like window packers and just pack out the underside of that decking. And the reason we do that, for a couple of reasons, to obviously have a level deck, a finished product where it's nice and level, but also to take any bounce out of the decking. So once the chassis are in place, what we don't want is a small gap below and you hear a tapping noise. So once we've placed our packers in place, we fix the chassis to the pre-existing substructure. Now, we recommend 70mm fixings on new substructure without any pre-existing decking. So whatever the pre-existing decking height is, you need to add that to your fixing length. So for example, if we have a 20mm decking height, add that to the 70mm and you will need a 90mm fixing. So the first decking chassis is in place. We want to ensure that the location tabs on the outside of the chassis are flush with the outside of the pre-existing decking below. Once we're comfortable that they are flush, we fix the chassis. demonstration purposes, I'll only put a couple of fixings in to save time on the video demonstration. What we can do is there are 8 fixings that can be fixed in total. I'd recommend that you always put the fixings in so that they sit into the timber joisting below. If they just go into the pre-existing decking and nothing else, they may become loose after time. So once all the chassis are in place, and once you have fixed everything down, ready for the deck and tile tops, it's a simple case of now just placing the tops on top of the chassis. So before we do this, we just decide on our orientation. Now, the deck and tile tops have a linear type slip resistance pattern on the top. You may not be able to see that on the video. So I point in which direction this particular one's going. So you could put them so all the orientation is heading this way, so it makes it more of a linear type look. Again, similar but all facing the opposite way. Or we could do them so that they are opposites, which is the most popular type of pattern. So the way we fix them, we simply place them on top and press them down. So once the tops are in place, the only thing left to do is to finish off by fasciating the product. Now, for demonstration purposes, we'll just take a piece of, this is called a flat board, which you can buy from DIY stores or roofline centres, and we just simply fix that to the front of the product. So we need to take into account the height. So again, a bit like the fixing that we looked at, the length of the fixing, we need to take into consideration the whole depth. So it covers all of the pre-existing product below. For the purpose of the video, I won't fix this. I'll just press it on there so you can see what the finished item looks like. We do recommend that you fit the fascia product below the top level surface of the new deck and tile. About 3mm is fine. It just prevents anybody kicking the product off if they're walking across it.